Now, we did this in Texas because it's easy to do in Texas. I say that Texas has some of the best solar resources, Texas has some of the best wind resources, and we have varying types of resources in those classifications. So our westerly winds come in, start building up about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so they begin to help with peak, but they really peak about midnight. Our southerly winds, and the winds on the coast, they more closely follow our load, and they definitely follow our load during the summer. They begin to come up about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then they're peaking about 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock. And of course our solar, which we will be at 200 megawatts of solar by the end of 2016, our solar does a very good job of following the load, but as some people would say, well, actually it misses the load by about 45 minutes. Well, if you've got your solar 500 miles to the west, then you have the longitudinal pickup there, so that in fact, if you're building solar plants and you want them to match peak, you actually need to put them about 500 miles to the west, or instead of facing them straight south, you face them to the west so that you can shift that just a little. Now, a lot of folks, especially old utility folks, you know, they don't understand that in order to build a renewable energy utility, a utility of the future, you've got to bring the right resources together. You've got to have the right balance of, in Texas, of westerly winds, the right balance of coastal winds, and the right balance of the South Texas winds. Mix that with your solar and with your distributed solar locally, and you build a total system that all works together, so that rather than worrying so much about whether or not a certain plant is dispatchable, what's important is that it to be predictable. And our ISO, which is our independent system operator, they finally, after 10 years of discussing this with them, about 10 years ago, they realized what they needed was a really good weatherman. Because with a really good weatherman, we know what the winds are going to be like 72 hours out in front at a 90% degree of credibility. We know what our winds are going to be even closer 24 hours out. So we put all of those in, and they are in fact dispatched because they're predictable. Same thing with our winds on the coast. They're predictable, and so I like to say that rather than being intermittent, which is a word that you would use if you're trying to marginalize the resource, the fact is that they're highly predictable and they come in waves.